I trust that you have picked 5 obscure Fantagraphics publications for this. The name of the game is Ghosts of Fantagraphics Past, because Fantagraphics has been around for about 50 years now.
Okay, so let's see, what should I start with?
What? What is that?
This is Hump Crazy #1 and 2 by my good pal Jeremy Eaton.
Oh yeah.
Arrows comic. What year were these? They were in the 90s. Yeah, 95, 96. I was living with Jeremy when he did these, but these are just hilarious, fun.
What was his actual like Fantagraphics comic book called at the time?
Whatnot.
Oh, I have that. That's great.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
what's the story with that?
You know, Gary talked Ditko into doing a comic book series, and it lasted 1 issue before their, before their relationship went up in flames. Which was, largely inevitable, I think.
Yeah.
But there was a second issue that I actually have. I briefly looked for it this morning and I gave up, but there was a complete second issue that was done and never published. And I kept a copy, a Xerox of it. As I recall, in the first issue, there was space to fill just with house ads. And Gary put like a comics journal. Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah. For the issue, there's a 2-page ad for the comics journal. Yeah. And it's got some kind of cheeky dialogue, cheeky copywriting, like, if you think that we only publish interviews that make reference to Ditko, think again. Each issue also features reviews of comics Ditko may have heard of. So they're kind of like trolling Ditko a little bit. Yeah. And it's something that Gary wrote, and and I don't think he meant any offense by it. That would be obviously stupid, but Ditko did not like it, and they had a big fight over it, and Ditko pulled the plug on it. But this series was cool because the concept behind it was that Gary really loved this wash technique that Ditko did mostly for Warren magazines in the 70s. Like Creepy and Eerie. And so he just basically pitched Ditko the idea of doing a new series in that style, and he took the challenge basically. And it's some of his best looking work of that time, or the last 20 25 years of his life, I think. Thinky and Scary, both by Ted Juflis.
I've never seen those before. Holy crap.
You've never seen these before?
No.
Oh wow. But these are both graphic novels by Ted Juflis, who is a really singular cartoonist, mix of collage, but mostly mostly drawing, but a really singular idiosyncratic style, really lyrical voice, just a like really truly sui generis artist. And one of the funny bits of trivia about him, these are both like really satirical, kind of trenchant, episodic, crazy, fantasy comics. I mean, they're impossible to describe.
Do they tell one story, or like?
Yeah. Each one tells one story. They're really hard to describe. But what I was going to say, the one kind of funny bit of trivia is Ted was, when these books came out, before and after, Ted was our accountant for like, probably 15 years. And then moved to Arizona a few years ago. So we had this really kind of buttoned down, straight-laced accountant who made these like just truly crazy comics at night. Okay, let's see.
This is number 4, I think, right?
This is, I think, kind of a little bit of a rare one.
Oh.
Yeah. Hall of Best Knowledge by Ray Fenwick. And the whole thing is told in this voice of this kind of omniscient, God, kind of imparting, the wisdom of the universe to the reader every week, but he's kind of a buffoon, kind of a pompous idiot. And it's really funny. It's impeccably crafted. His lettering is wonderful.
Oh yeah.
And it actually has a kind of narrative that runs through it all. He kind of evolves, even though from week to week it's just like a snippet of wisdom about this or that. And I thought it was a great book. I was the one who first saw the work and showed it to Kim and Gary, and we published it. And I thought it was really great. Kind of fell under the radar. And he didn't really stick with comics. Mostly does like more fine art now.
Yeah.
This book. This is not even that old of a book. It's called The Draw of Sport by a gentleman named Murray Olderman. Murray died just a couple of years ago. This came out in 2017, and Murray died a couple of years later. So yeah, so he's probably been dead like 2 or 3 years, and he lived to be almost 100. And he was just this dude who had one of the most amazing careers as a cartoonist, and even though like nobody remembers him. And I worked with him on this book. It was a blind submission sent that he'd put together in a 3-ring binder with just printouts of his work and sleeves. He was retired in Palm Desert, California. He was like 90 at the time when he sent it in. And basically, that's cool. I got it autographed by him.
Oh wow.
Scribe. And so the gist of the book is that it's like a drawing and an essay about the drawing or his experience with the person. And it spans like the entire 20th century of American history.
Experience with them is like he knew these people in real life?
Well, so he had this incredible career where he was a working newspaper cartoonist like Bill Malden, or not Bill Malden, Willard Mullen, the baseball cartoonist. He was just a staff cartoonist who worked on the sports page, doing illustrations and cartoons and whatever. But he was also a writer. He had a really eclectic career that spanned like 70 or 80 years. He was like did some television production work, like news, sports, broadcasting production. He was involved with the NFL MVP award. Like he was instrumental in the creation of the NFL MVP award. I think it's the MVP award. He was an avid tennis player and played in all these like pro-am tournaments and with like celebrities and professional tennis players, and just had this kind of like crazy career where he just crossed paths with so many different people. And so one of the things that was kind of interesting about him was when he was a kid, he grew up in New York and saw Babe Ruth play at the end of his career. And Babe Ruth stopped playing in like, the 20s. And just like through this book, and he just has stories about all of them. He writes these little personal essays, all of all different sports. Joe Namath, Muhammad Ali, Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, Joe Montana, Billie Jean King, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jesse Owens, the famed Olympic athlete. He saw him in the Olympics in like 30 or something like that. And I got to know him a little bit, just talking to him on the phone and working on this book. And it was just, he'd just like break into a story about whatever, Mickey Mantle. And it was just crazy. He just had this like really singular career. And we did this book, and I think this book sold like 700 copies or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was really sad because it like didn't get any review coverage whatsoever. Just completely fell on deaf ears. And he had, just like, if you're a sports writer, you would, kill to just like have an afternoon with this guy and just ask him stories, because he was ready to tell them, and but nobody was listening really. Like, this is pretty good drawing,
Yeah, that's great.
But like, that's a really nice drawing too. Jesse Owens, the Olympic athlete. Anyway, that was my choice. I had some other stuff here, but